Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shannon, and we're speaking to you from the Lady Entrepreneur Show. Today is part two with Billie-Jane Bolton-Rojo, who is an insurance broker slash legacy strategist, as we call her, because she is a specialist in RESP, and we are exactly that, businesswoman with a purpose.
Yeah.
So we had our first live call on Monday together, and we got such a great response from it. Everybody was asking questions, so they wanted her back. So here we are doing a part two. And if you didn't know, it was her first time doing an Instagram live, which I have to bring up again. And today is my first day doing a Facebook Live.
Yes, constantly learning, eh?
So we taught each other something.
Totally. And I think it is such a good example about like entrepreneurship. Don't be afraid to step out and do something new. You know what I mean? So it's
Exactly,
been
because
awesome.
what we do here is we try to empower and support other female entrepreneurs going through their journey, whether they're starting a new business or they're already existing a seasoned entrepreneur, right? There's always something in life that you can learn. And every day somebody practically learns something new. It doesn't have to be in your business. But back to you, Billie-Jane. Just for the viewers on Facebook, can you tell us a bit about yourself and why you got started into the business as an insurance broker and how
Yeah.
PCAL Financial Group came about?
Yes, yes, yes. So no, I love to share this story. So the whole thing,
I
for
love the
me,
story. Sorry to say.
yes, no, the whole thing, and since we're doing part two, I actually brought a little something to introduce you to my special guest. So the legacy is something that became very near and dear to me. I worked for many years within the financial industry, but more from a support kind of role. I supported various wealth management, so I've always been within the wealth management space, but supported wealth management businesses within, one of Canada's banks, right? One of their largest banks, supporting them with technology and, regulatory compliance and operational changes, things like that. Supported our wealth management businesses. And, it was a good career. Listen, I can't complain. It was a good career, earned, very good income. But I wasn't really that excited about it. Like, it didn't really turn my crank, honestly. I was not like, whew, every time I came home from work. And it just challenged me to think about what it is that would really excite me. I mean, I always wanted to go out into the field. I remember always asking, my director, I'm like, okay, I'd love to do an in the life of with a branch, like go out there and meet people. Never happened. But that's because there was something in my heart that I just really wanted to be out there with people serving, right? Anyway, fast forward, what happened was, my family is from Ghana.
Mhm.
And my grandmother, she's an amazing woman, born in the 1900s, incredible businesswoman, mother of many,
10.
10.
I remember.
And not just her own 10, because she used to care for so many other people. Would send their children, like from the village, whatever, to send to her, and she would educate them. She would help them get on their feet, care for them, all of that. So she was considered the mother of many and gave so much to her church community, was a wife, like just a phenomenal, like, I think, like, wow, she is really close to that Proverbs 31 woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not only did she was an incredible businesswoman. She started off, like, she wasn't formally educated. She started off in the market, probably only got up to like grade 4, and, was in the marketplace selling scarves, her wares upon her head, and that's where her whole business, started. But she had incredible business sense and took her business. It was super successful. She was selling African cloth. They actually took her, like, the companies that were making them were in Europe, and they would come and visit and invite grandma to go to England, to go to the Netherlands, to go and see the factories, because they were hoping that that would help, her understanding to sell even more, right? So she was incredible, but she had no English, very little English because she wasn't formally educated. So for me, it was challenging because we had a language barrier and there was so much that she would have loved to share with me. But we couldn't do that much, you know, always had to be through translation. So I didn't actually really get to find out about this incredible woman and about her life until she passed. And then the family put together this beautiful book. And this is what I'm going to show you. I'm going to introduce you to Grandma. I hope you'll be able to see it without this. Can you see her? That's
Yeah,
Grandma.
I can see.
Yes. So that's her. And so they put together a beautiful book about her life. And that's how I learned all of the amazing things. And I'm like, oh my goodness, look at this legacy this woman has left me. What am I doing with it? You know, I'm working this, you know, we say 9 to 5, I say 7 to 7, you know, job. I come home, I'm here. I don't have energy for the kids to help them to be their best selves. What am I offering this world? What am I offering my kids as a mom? All that kind of stuff. And just got me really challenged to think about that. And so I decided I was going to make a career change. And, you know, I'm a mom. I'm of 3 kids, and I'm in a journey where I'm like saving for my kids and all that kind of stuff. So I actually spoke to my ESP rep about, you know, getting started, like, you know, what would it be like? I'm trying to figure out what to do. She said, you should do this. And I was like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I can do this because I can relate to everyone. I'm in the same journey as well. And I am so passionate about our kids stepping out in greatness, right? Like my grandmother, who's shown me what legacy means beyond finances, because yes, she was very successful financially. But as I said, she was an incredible mother. She was an incredible, you know, woman of service and giving to her community and stepping out in excellence and all that she does. So I want our kids to step out in excellence and whatever gifting God has given them, right? For them to feel, you know, that they can step out as their best selves, whatever passion, whatever gift, but hone it. Step out in excellence in that craft. And that craft may not need university, right? It may not even need college. Maybe it's trade school or technical school, or maybe it's dance school. I've looked up school for kids to go into, you know, go to dance school in New York. So whatever it is that our kids' gifts are, of course, we'd love it to be one a doctor or lawyer, but whatever their gift is, for them to step out in that with excellence and as debt-free as possible. So that's where I started my career in terms of RESPs, and then expanded that. I call RESPs more like a knowledge legacy. I want our kids to know more than us in their craft, but to step out, as I said, it's a legacy. This is multi-generational. When we position our kids for success, guess what? We're creating a home for our grandchildren that's going to be successful. And that cycle is going to continue and actually elevate. We want that to continue to grow, you know, from generation to generation. So that's that. Then I expanded into insurance, and that was cool. I never quite understood insurance, which is kind of crazy because I actually came from an engineering background, but I didn't really get it still. But going through it, I love this product because it really helps us to really deepen that multi-generational legacy that we want to create. First, by protecting, and then we can tap into some strategies to also build, right? So that's how, you know, PCAL was birthed, basically because of mom. PCAL, or I say mom, grandma, right? So partnership in creating a legacy. Yeah, partnership in creating a legacy. Because I consider myself your partner. I don't tell you what to do. My priority is education. So I want you to understand whatever product is that you're interested in, understand it fully so you can make the best decisions for yourself. And as your guide, I help you through that journey. I may challenge you to, you know, some questions, you know, about, you know, have you considered this? Have you considered that? And then hold you accountable throughout the journey, because I'm as invested in your dreams as you are, right? And I want to help you to get there. So yeah, so that's PCAL and how grandma had got that all started. Mm-hmm.
So if you do you believe if you had the chance to meet your grandma and have all these conversations with her, your journey would be any different?
Do you know what? Honestly, I do. Because she was a woman too who would take chances, who would take risks. And I think she would have really helped to encourage me to do that. And I think like naturally I am somewhat like that, but I have to say I grew up in a household like with my dad, who's very conservative. And so the things that I wanted to do to stretch the boundaries, you know, of what was
no-no.
Was a no-no. And I know my grandmother would have been, you know, really encouraging for me to step out in that. So I'm curious to know what my business journey would have been had she been here to experience it, right? So, you know, yeah, she was amazing because she, as you know, not only did she run her own business, but, you know, she had property, residential property, commercial property. She had a farm. Do you know what I mean? Like she just an incredible, I'm telling you, Proverbs 31 woman with multiple streams of income. Okay?
And all these things, meanwhile, taking care of 10 children
10
and
children
the village.
and others and your husband. So yeah.
She sounds like an amazing woman.
Yeah,
and it would have been nice to meet her today, but
yeah, I know. At least you got to see her in picture.
yes,
you got to see
yes,
her,
yes.
her,
Thank
you know,
you thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
But my question for you, what most people might be wondering right now
Yeah.
is, besides parents and their children, do you also help small business owners with strategies for their business?
Yeah, so in terms of, you know, what it can offer for small business owners, it's more still related to insurance, because
Okay.
there are some insurance strategies like when, you know, as I said, you know, my whole mantra is around legacy. So when it comes to insurance, I talk about protecting your legacy. So you're protecting your family legacy, but you can also protect your business legacy with insurance, so that if anything should happen, right, that would make any key person, so yourself, any, you know, somebody who's, you know, strong on your team, maybe somebody who helps you with sales, whatever, somebody, and any individual that your business is highly dependent on, if anything should happen, your business can receive some funds from the insurance company to help your business to continue. If anything should happen, you can receive, or your business can receive money from the insurance company to keep the lights on, right? So there are a number of strategies that are available to business owners to help to mitigate their risk, right? And make sure that their business can continue on. Even if you start thinking further, especially as your business grows and you may have, you know, you're talking shares and transfer of shares, and maybe you've got a partner and you need to buy some of that, like all those kind of things can be facilitated and simplified with insurance to do things as tax effectively as possible, right? To preserve your business legacy, again, multiple generations, right? So yeah, you know, in that case, that in that area, that's something that I do. Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the business side, though, would you recommend for a new business to sit down with you right away, or would you rather them have some kind of foundation built before they come to you?
Oh yes, because generally the strategies that I'm talking about are for businesses that have excess money. We call that retained earnings. So if you're making an income and you're able to keep some of that income, because at the beginning you may not be able to keep much income because you need to keep investing in your business. So the money that you make, you may be, you know, having to pay for things, whatever. So you don't get to keep much of that growth within the business. But after a few years and there's more stability, you start to see that your retained earnings, which is whatever income you've been able to keep, you get to see that growing. And as that grows, that offers you some more opportunities and strategies for you. So yeah, so you'd want to be a little bit more, you want to be further down in your business where you've reached that level of stability, then we can have those kind of conversations. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then it would be fair to say it doesn't matter what number of years you've been in business for, but it's the stability of your company and it growing, correct?
Exactly. If your business, the key is if you're in a position where you're retaining earnings, then definitely you want to have those kind of conversations, right? Because your business is the one that is going to be buying this insurance policy, right? So there needs to be some money in the business to be able to do that.
Is there something that you could do with business owners where you do like a startup business plan to get them to this place where they want to be, or that's not really?
Yeah, that area is not my area of expertise.
Okay.
Quite frankly, I could put my hand up to doing business is something I still consider myself a baby in this journey because it is so different from what I did. As I said, like I came from honestly an engineering background and I still have that engineering mind. I'm very much science oriented. I look at the world that way. So it's a real stretch for me, you know, taking this entrepreneurship journey.
Don't kill it on RESPs.
Pardon?
I said, I do know you do kill it on RESPs.
RESPs and just, you know, let's do the insurance for sure. But I am learning, you know, and that's another thing in terms of, you know, because this is about Lady Entrepreneur, you know, to keep ourselves always open to learn. Yeah. You know, I will always consider myself very young in this actually, because I am constantly learning new things, look, we were just learning the first time I did that Instagram, right? Learning more marketing strategies and all of those things, you know, to help to build your business. So definitely on the learning journey, but areas area of expertise today, definitely helping you as parents to secure your children's future, and for parents who are really committed to that, that is something that I absolutely love to do. And of course, I love to show families how they can protect their legacy, but I'm not just about, I want to make sure that families first and foremost, mom and dad first and foremost are protected, but I go multi-generational on a lot of strategies that people don't always talk about, people don't always know about. So, that's my area of expertise.
Well, I know, as a business owner, even in my industry, there's always continuous changes. So it doesn't
Yes.
hurt to always continue learning, and developing yourself. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And
Yes.
I know some people will be like, oh no, I don't want to do this because I'm not an expert at it, but go and learn about it. It's part of your business. Maybe it's something you might even enjoy at the end of the day, right? So
you are so right.
yeah, so
You are
there's
so right.
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yes, absolutely. You're so right. And I mean, and what I'm like in terms of just business, I mean, just since we're talking a little bit about this, being able to recognize, where are the areas that I thrive most, like where are my, really high impact areas, and trying to find as much time to do those things and stretch myself to allow other people to help me. That is going to be a big goal for me in 2022, like to look for, supports, right? In the areas that aren't necessarily my, my huge strengths, right? How can I get others to help me? But at the same time, not giving over everything, like still having an understanding. So for instance, social media, you taught me about Instagram. I recognize that's an area of growth for me. I intend to learn it, to understand it, but my intention down the road in, later in 2022 is to have somebody to help me to do that. But I want to understand it. So I will definitely still invest the time to learn about that. So I love your point, I mean, it's important, to learn new things, right?
Mm-hmm, definitely. I just want to go back to RES.
Sure.
Sometimes when I say it, it's just like, but
tongue-tied. Mm-hmm.
I know I was a teenage mom, and
Right.
I at first I thought negative. Not at first, sorry. When I was a teenage mom, I purchased RESPs through a company. I'm not going to name the name on here. However, I thought I was doing something right. Like, as parents, we always think we want our children to do better than us. So I was approached by this company, said, do you want some RESPs? I'm like, sure, it's going to better my child's education. So why not?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
However, fast forward a couple of months, I lose all of my money because I did not get his social insurance number, and they told me I could not get back any of my money. So fast forward again, years later. So after that, I did not be bothered with it. I'm like,
for
I
sure.
don't believe in this. I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, leaves a bad taste. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was a teenager at that time. I didn't know any better. I didn't know who to speak to. I didn't feel like I had those resources that I needed, or that was out there to educate me on this product properly. Because obviously the representative didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
However, fast forward a few years later, I did a course on RESPs, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I can do that. All of these things just started going through my mind. I'm like, I'm going to do this again. However, fast forward again, I meet Billie-Jane. I'm like, who's Billie-Jane?
Billy, I'm sure you were singing the song.
I was. I don't, we met through a mutual friend, and they're like, oh yeah, Billie-Jane is coming. I'm like, Billie-Jane. And I started singing that song in my head. I'm like,
no, everyone does.
And then Billie-Jane shows up with this like whole bubble of personality. I'm like, I love this girl. And then you introduced me to RESPs again. You took the time to explain the product to me. You did not force me to go into anything. It was more about education and having the right knowledge at my fingertips and able to make an informed decision for me and my family. So I can attest to say that you actually know what you're doing. You do a good job based on customer service. No, your customer service is great as well. I've had it for over a few years now with you, and you're just bang on every time at that renewal date or end date follow-up date. Hey Shannon, what's going on? How's your daughter? How's the family? What else can we look at in your life? Are you staying on track of what we discussed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Seriously. Like
So,
I really do believe in partnership, right? And yeah, I appreciate you. Like listened to the fact that you yourself went and took a course and you learned about RESPs, but
yeah, I
you
learned
came.
about at that time. I didn't tell you I did the course at that time because now that I had a little bit of a better understanding, I wanted to see how you explained it to me this time, right? So because of that, and you were like, you just seemed honest and genuine about the whole transaction. I'm like, all right, I'm ready for it again, and I'm going to take that step. But I know there's a lot of individuals out there that may feel the same way. They don't believe in it at all, or they just don't understand the other strategies that RESPs can do for you, that insurance can do for you. Because me as a mortgage broker as well, I know there are insurance products out there that you are able to leverage in order to invest in other opportunities. Like that is a whole can of worms that we can open right now. So I'm not even going to.
We're not going to go there.
That
Next one,
like
part 3.
Conversation. Yeah, exactly.
Part 3.
Part 3. But I just want to know some of it, or if you can share with us some of the stories that you've come across where people, you've had people come to you with the negative taste in their mouth, like, oh no, I don't believe in RESPs. I don't want it. What are some of the stories? How do you overcome that? And do you once you explain it to them, do you find that they change their attitude about the whole process? And knowing that you are a legacy builder, can you kind of explain to us how you'll take a family from day one of nothing to building them over time?
Right. No, this is great. This is a great question that you asked. First of all, like I haven't had a lot of people who've come to me. Mind you, I have heard a lot of people with their negative stories, and you know, their reluctance to continue to do this journey. But what I can share are, you know, those some of those experiences, and you know what, I'm one of them. Okay, and you know, the reason why I still believe this is such a great product and you know, so important for our kids. But the thing is, like, let's just talk about, for instance, what I hear a lot about people like, you know, I don't know about, you know, some of these different companies because there's so many different options out there. I'd rather just go to a bank, for instance, right? Bank doesn't cost me anything and it all works out, whatever. But the thing, and this is my own personal experience, is that, and I know it's experience for many people, but when you go to a bank, right, they call it a self-directed product because you decide everything yourself. You start from the beginning to the end yourself. You make your choices of your investments. It's up to you to monitor. They'll send you statements, but it's up to you to monitor. No one is calling to check in on you on your journey or anything like that. You are truly managing this yourself. Now, day one, they will sit with you, show you, you know, some options that are available in terms of different types of investments that you might choose, depending on what they call your risk profile, how comfortable you are with uncertainty with your money. You know, some people are like, I just want a GIC. Okay, not the greatest product because you're getting nothing. So quite frankly, if you're not getting much for it, you really are losing money because inflation is eating at it. Okay. So, you know, there's that product. And to me, it does come with high cost because it's an opportunity cost. The money that you give to the bank and put into a GIC, the bank is going to take that, lend it out many times over at a higher interest rate. You are losing out on that. Your child is losing out on that. So I do consider that a cost. We call that opportunity cost. Nonetheless, they'll show you that. You can say if that's the product for you, or maybe be into mutual funds, which is another cost. structure. But with mutual funds, if you want more return, you got to be more prepared for risk. And, you know, the thing is, sometimes when we don't understand what it is that we're doing, we may not make the best decisions for ourselves, right? And you may not also even feel really invested in your decision for the long term. I'll tell you my personal story. As I went to school on an RESP plan, okay, with a company that only does RESPs. Both my husband and I went to school. I was the company's easiest sale when I had my baby. I called them. You see, Shannon, someone called you? No, no, no. I called them.
Well, actually, I walked into a mall. I walked into
Yeah.
a mall, and then she
Yeah.
approached me, and then
Okay,
like,
because she
like,
saw you with your stroller.
Then she called me. Then she called me. That's what it was.
So for me, I'm telling you, it was nothing. No one called me from the hospital, nothing. It was, hello, I got a baby. I need to start an RESP because I know about it. Now, guys, this is something that's also really important in terms of legacy thinking. The things that you do today are going to affect the decisions that your own children will make because of their exposure to what you do. My dad didn't teach me about RESPs. I just knew I had one. So what did I do? I have a baby. I need an RESP. Okay. Now, so they came, explained to me. It was an utter whirlwind. I have this 4-month-old. I have no clue what is going on. I'm like, whatever, just set it up. Okay. So I didn't understand it fully. Let's just go for it. Well, then when I had baby number 2, now remember I mentioned that my background is engineering. So engineering mind is very detail oriented. We need to understand everything. Okay. Now I suspended the understanding because of my own lived experience, but I wasn't sitting well with me in my heart. So when I had baby number 2, my husband and I were both bankers. I said, you know what? Let's go to the bank. Okay, let's go to the bank for number 2, right? And we both said, okay. My husband's like, okay, let's do it. Okay. So we went to the bank for baby number 2. And sat down, chose our investments. In this case, it was an RESP fund. Set it, forget it. That's the main mentality we had. Right. And actually, it's a good mentality. I want my families to have a mentality of set it and forget it in that, not forget it, but set it and get it in autopilot, because you'd be surprised what could happen over time when you're not watching. Okay. But anyway, set it and forget it, and literally forgot it for like 3 years. My son was born in 2006. 2009, we decided to crack open that statement. Okay. And we're bankers, by the way. So it's not people who don't know anything, right? But we just, busy with life. So 3 years later, we take a look at it and we're like, this is now 2009. Remember what happened in the markets in 2008 and 2009. Poor Obama came in to the worst economic situation. Real estate market crashes. People lost 30% of their portfolios, right? Thankfully, we didn't lose 30%, but we lost some grants. Okay. I am more of an aggressive kind of risk profile. I learned pretty quickly not so aggressive with my kids' money when I'm losing it. Okay. So at that point, we decided to cancel it, and we decided to put it where we had our daughters, even though we didn't understand it, whatever. We're putting it there because it was growing. It was safe. That's that turtle that wins the race. When we had our third, did the exact same thing. But that was sort of a testament to the whole thing of not really understanding and not have anyone going with you on this journey. Right. And so we were just on our own. You said it, nobody calls. Now, to extend that story for another client of mine who took some time to get started, she got started with her daughter right away with the RESP. She went to the bank for that. Then when she had her second, life gets in the way and they're like, So they took quite a bit of time before they got started with their second. So when they were ready to get started, she's like, Billie-Jane, you need to help me. So eagerly, we get together, teach her, we get started. And I'm like, okay, but you've got a plan for your daughter. Not to suggest to move anything over. Let's just take a look at it, see how things are going. So as we look at it, I'm like, but wait a minute. You guys have been putting like $2,000 a year. There's like 24,000 because your daughter's now 12. There's like 24,000 in here, but where's the grant? There was no grant accumulating in this plan. There was an issue when the account was set up. There's a communication with the institution and the government. The government wants to reconcile all their records. They want to make sure the name matches, the date of birth matches, the SIN matches. If there's a mismatch, grant money doesn't flow. And nobody contacted them to tell them that there was a problem with their grant. Okay, so years later, 12 years later, because they too, I think, are like me, not cracking open the statements. Okay, they weren't cracking open to see what's going on. And maybe even if they saw it, they may not have understood that there's no grant flowing in here. They see their money and they see it's growing, but they may not have even if they opened it, they may not have realized. Right?
They didn't know how to read the statement.
They may not know how to read it. You know what I mean? So at that point, I'm like, okay, you need to go back and get those grants. The thing is, the government will only go back 3 years. the child is 12. They've been doing this for 12 years. So my advice to her was go back, don't like close things. You know, you want to keep that account. You want to fight the bank for it. Get your 3 years and fight them for the 9+ interest, right? But this is, again, it's an extension of that story of really, you are on your own. Now, this is not everyone's story, okay? These are not everyone's stories. Some people have a very smooth journey, okay? They don't invest at a time like I invested, right? And they may just have everything all set up where everything flows smoothly. But the thing where I think it is so valuable, and you probably see this in your own practice, the value of having somebody with you. Like, there is such a difference when you want to just work out yourself versus having a fitness trainer. Having somebody partner with you in your journey, like having a mortgage broker who's going to help you because you said you want to become a homeowner, who's going to help you to go through that journey, what you need to do to get there, I think is really, really powerful. We are meant to work in community. And I know that we all sometimes feel that we're experts. We what do you call it? Like, is it YouTube University or Google University? We go and get that information. We think we know enough. I think there is still so much value with having an expert who understands your goals, who's as excited about your goals as you are, and helps you to work towards it, helps you to keep you on track, helps you to be accountable, because life will throw you curveballs where you're like, I got other priorities, and help to remind you about those goals. You know what I mean? Having an external voice really does help, right? And somebody who really, of course, wants to educate you and is as passionate about your dreams as you are. This really does help, because when you're on your own, things can go awry. In those cases, if it does happen, then you're also on your own to try and remedy that, right? So that's, and I get it. That's a tough story. But I do have so many clients, and you know what? My heart
I'm pretty
is
sure
like,
you have like other amazing positive stories too. And
yeah,
even that story wasn't terrible, but that just shows you that people have the option to work with an insurance broker or directly to the bank. And just like in our industry, sometimes people don't understand the difference between working with the mortgage broker or going to their bank. They always
mm-hmm.
feel going to the bank is the best thing because it's TD, it's RBC, it's
It's a
branding.
big name.
It's a big
Yeah.
name, right? They're it's part of the big five. Why wouldn't I want to go there? So for you and that particular client themselves, maybe they just didn't know they had the option. And if they had known you before, then it would have worked out differently
Yeah.
for them. But now at least they have you.
Yeah.
You've given them their options.
Yeah.
You've tried to provide them with a solution, and hopefully it all works out the best for them, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you had asked about, the journey for clients, taking them from the beginning to the end. And, I really believe that, okay, so I love to work with people who are very passionate about their kids and committed to their kids' future. So that's a requirement for me. I'm not dragging anybody along this journey. I want you to be really passionate about it and committed to the journey. But I also, I recognize that people come from different means. You know what I mean? Everyone has, so much resources they have to work with. And it just brings me so much joy. I really feel the RESP really is meant for people who wouldn't think they had the resources to do it, okay? But with this product and the help of the government, all of a sudden they create all of this opportunity for their kids, okay? That's where I really think it's powerful, okay? Because they're the people who really need that help and support. So I love it when I've got a family that's just at the start of their journey. Maybe, they're at the beginning of their career, they don't have as much resources, or they're new to Canada, right?
Mhm.
Don't have much resources, or they're a young, teenage mom just getting started, right? Who doesn't think they can make this happen. I love when I start a family, there's a program called the Canada Learning Bond, which is just free money. You don't even need to save. The government will start it for you. You do need to have the income requirement to meet it, which is, let's just say about $49,000 after tax. I'm kind of rounding it
Okay.
up a bit. So when families, I've helped so many families where that's where they start. They don't have anything to start saving on a monthly basis. Just okay. Let's just start with this Canada Learning Bond. You can get up to $2,000 over, let's say, 15 years through this, right? It doesn't seem like a lot of money, but you'd be surprised. Just the awareness that your child has that there is some money changes the way that they think. Because now they're going to think about how I can fill the gap. All right, I got like $3,000. wow, I can go to school. Okay, so maybe I can get a job. Maybe I can work really hard and get scholarships. Maybe I can get some OSAP to make my dream come true. It shifts the thinking of a child knowing there's a little bit of something. So when a family starts with the CLB, that's the Canada Learning Bond, CLB, starting from there. And then, as you said, I'm on you. Girl, when I say I'm your accountability partner, I am. You will hear from me next year. And I'm like, so you got a little something to scrounge up, you know? I encourage my families to be creative about strategies about getting money. It doesn't have to come from your wallet. Take advantage of other people's money. I like to say bank of grandma and grandpa. Take advantage of the Canada Child Benefit. There's so many, gifts. Look, this is a perfect time to have this conversation. The holidays are coming. People are like, what should I
You
get?
just said it right there. Which you just said it right there. A lot of mothers or a lot of parents receive the Canada Child Tax Benefit. And if it's something that you really want to do and start investing in your child's future, I know sometimes as parents, we put that money to other things besides the child, but maybe this is an opportunity to actually put a percentage of that money towards the child's education. And I know that's something that you will walk through the parents through, especially since you just
absolutely. Absolutely. Take advantage of that money first. I mean, the Canada Child Benefit, as you said, we need it to help, right, with life and stuff. But I like to challenge my parents to realize that that money really is money for the kids. So if you can take some of it, if you can at least take at least some of it and put it to the RSP, you'd be surprised how powerfully that money will work for you. This is government money that they're giving to you. Put it in there. It's going to earn more government money in grants. And then it's growing without being taxed. Okay. There's like some complexity about taxation when your kids come out of school, but essentially no children pay tax. Hardly any of the kids that I've worked with pay tax when they take the money out. So you're taking government money, it's making more money, growing without being taxed. Like, how hard are you getting this money to work for you? It's powerful. So I always encourage families to try and use that Canada Child Benefit. For anyone who's like watching this, who's expecting, I encourage you to start to be aware of this now before you start getting the money and put it into your spending plan. Because then you can start to think, okay, let me see how I can work my spending plan without all of this money. There are calculators to let you have an idea how much is coming in that you can expect to get. Close your eyes to some of that. Then use the rest of it to invest in use that you're closing your eyes to, use that to invest in your child's future. Now, if you already have it integrated into your spending plan, I know it's hard to take it out now, but I really do challenge parents to do that, because every decision is a generational decision. Every decision is a legacy decision. Your decision to take $25 a month and put it aside for your child's future is going to reap so much more reward than that coffee. Okay, so that's the thing that I always, and I like that you paused on the Canada Child Benefit. Really, really good way to invest in your kids. But yeah, start with the CLB. If you're like, I can't, just start there. And then that is going to shift you. You'll be surprised. You can start. I love it. My families will start CLB. Then before you know it, they're putting $25 a month. And then before you know it, we're stretching to $40 a month. And then we continue to grow. And I keep their eye on, where do we want to get to, right? So yeah, I'm really, really passionate about that.
What I like to say is taking the first step is what really matters. So to me, the first step would be to reach out to Billie-Jane at PCAL Financial Group and just to understand the product itself and how our ESP works. If there was any other questions that you ever thought about that nobody else has been able to answer for you, reach out to her. It doesn't cost you. It doesn't cost you anything. You're not obligated to, take RESPs or any insurance. And why not? Education is key.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's not going to help you, maybe it might help somebody else in your family or within your network, right?
Exactly. You're so right.
The one other thing that is not talked about a lot is wills.
Ooh,
and I know I've told you I started that in my business after I had a client pass away, had no will there. And then I know you offer that to your clients as well, but I think it's so important.
It is.
You don't want to do a full detailed will. Just have a simple will. It's better to have something than nothing at all.
Yeah, yeah, it is so important, and we just really do need to prioritize some of these things. You know, as you're saying, Shannon, like to do something simple, but even just to, you know, if you like do the will kit, which may take a little bit more time and energy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to do that, no matter what, it is so. When you think about the devastation that can be left behind when things aren't in order, I think it's worth it to do that. And who are the ones that are suffering? It's your loved ones,
Yeah.
you know? So the will, you know, for those of you who may not really understand much about it, it's just really your instructions. If you, first of all, for your children, if you're not here, you give instructions about the care of your children, right? And then you also give instructions on your financial affairs, your finances. What do you want to happen to your estate? And everyone has an estate, okay? It's not just for the rich and famous. Everyone has an estate. If you got something, you got an estate. And whatever you have, you be in control of where you want that to go. You indicate what you want. Otherwise, the government's indicating that for you. And depending on the situation, money is tied up. You know, like it can be a real detriment to your family when we don't have our stuff in order. So I really do encourage families to have a will. So although I'm not like a lawyer, it's not my thing. And just like you, Shannon, you're not a lawyer. When you see what can come out of it, it is so important as we have these conversations to encourage families. Get a will. There's a free will kit. It's not free in time. Take the time and go through it, right? But as Shannon said, maybe you do something simple. But for those of you who do have extra resources, then get a will. If you're like, I don't have time, you keep telling yourself you're going to do this, you've got the resources, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you don't have time to sit down and do this free will kit. Go and hire a lawyer who's got deep experience. Like just pay for it because it is paid for
Get
that
out
time.
and get it done.
Get her done, right? So, you know, I mean, and, you know, I know, Shannon, you refer people to lawyers. I will refer people to lawyers. I just want my families to have it done. So, yeah, I am on my families. You know, when we do our reviews, I'm like, so how are we doing with this will? Right? And so, you know, the whole thing is let's get that stuff like squared away because it's great that, you know, you bought a house. It's great that you've got an insurance policy or you set up an RESP. But if you don't have a will, you know, everything can be all tied up in all sorts of issues. Yeah. So yeah, I encourage my families to get a will. But the thing that is really cool though, like if you go to a lawyer, there's another document that a lawyer will help you with. Your will is your instructions if you're not here. But there's another document called a continuing power of attorney, are your instructions if you are here but are incapacitated. So you still have instructions. You still need to make sure your family's cared for, your children are cared for, your assets. What do you want done with your assets? And on top of that, what are your instructions for yourself, your own care? A lawyer can help. That one a lawyer does. But usually if you go to a lawyer to help you with the will, they will help you with that as well, right? So yeah, definitely very, very important for squaring those things away.
Well, you know, Billie-Jane, the wealth of information you provided today was awesome again. From Monday, that was just a real good conversation. Like I learned things that I didn't know about, even though I talk to you quite often with the referrals back and forth.
Yes.
But that's besides the point. But before we run out of here and leave each other, can you provide the viewers with a piece of advice that has worked for you as an entrepreneur, either starting out in your business or something you have tried during your business that has not worked for you, that you wouldn't recommend to anybody doing?
Yeah. So I guess, you know, what I would suggest, you know, and it's something that I think about and you know what, it's an extension to what I was talking about, you know, finding somebody to partner with you in your journey, because we are never meant to live as an island, right? We are to be in community. And that is something that I wished I looked at more aggressively at the beginning, at the start of my journey, is getting like mentors or coaches or groups for accountability. I wish that I had taken that seriously, because it really does make a difference. When you're on your entrepreneurship journey, one, it can be pretty lonely. Okay, you're building your own business, but sometimes we get so into it and there's so much to learn, and you may not know how to do that. You may have so much things you need to work with on what you think your ability is to do things in terms of your mindset, all of these things. And to have this impartial person, objective on the outside, looking in, helping to guide you, whether it's an individual, whether it's a group, whether it's, like an accountability group or like a mastermind, whatever, to have that in support of your business, I think it is so helpful to your success in staying the course and advancing your goals and those kind of things. So that's something like I really do think that it is important for us to be in community. So invest. I mean, if you have to invest, in like a mentor or a coach, I think it's worth the investment because the return is so much greater with the success of your business, right? For them to keep you accountable. As I said, I like to keep my people accountable in their journey, but having someone keep you accountable to your business goals, what you said you want to do with your business, that's going to help you when things suck because the journey is up and down. When you're on the downside, that's somebody who's going to remind you and guide you, on different things to help you to stretch, right? So yeah, that is one thing that I think is really helpful that I wish, as I said, I had done more at the beginning of my career. I'm doing that more now. But if I'd done that at the beginning of my journey, I think that I would be even further with my business.
I totally agree with you. Community is key. And same as you, I believe starting out as a young entrepreneur, if I had the time to have a good mentor, I did have people who I could speak to, but if I had that consistent one mentor in my life, I believe I would be much, much further as well too. And certain things that I've done through my journey, I would have done it differently, and I would have known that is exactly what I should have done at that time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
can you tell everybody where they can find you if they want to contact?
Yes. Okay. So PCAL Financial Group. You can find me on the web. Okay. www.pcal, PCAL for partnership in creating a legacy, PCAL Financial Group.ca. I'm also on social media. As much as I say I'm stretching in this area, I'm on Facebook. You can find me at PCAL Financial Group. Okay. On Facebook, you'll find me on Instagram. Don't judge me on Instagram. PCAL Financial Group. Okay. And yeah, that's pretty much where I live, kind of thing. Now, 2022, you'll probably see some expansion in some other areas. As I said, this is an area of growth that I'm committed to expanding on. So thank you, Sharon, for breaking my virginity with the Instagram live, because now I will be doing that sometime in 2022. But yeah, that's where you can find me, definitely. And if email info@pcalfinancialgroup.ca is also cool. Feel free to reach out to me there.
Well, what can I say? I guess you broke my virginity with Facebook Live. So
Yes,
there's
so
one
proud of
way.
you. So proud of you. You were like, I'm just going to record this. I'm like, you can stream it directly. Look at that.
But no, that's totally awesome. I want to thank you again for doing part 2 with me today. Before we end off, I'm just going to share my announcement again. Coming in March of 2022, we're going to have Miss Lady Entrepreneur, where we will be looking for contestants to enter into a pitch competition, and where they're going to be cash prizes for enhancing your business or starting up your business journey. We have access to angel investors that will invest into your business. So if you are interested in taking part in this competition, reach out to me directly. Follow our YouTube channel. You can reach us on Instagram at Real Lady ENT, which is for Lady Entrepreneur. Send us an email at info@ladyentrepreneur.ca, or you can find me all over Instagram or Facebook. There's no doubt about it.
That's so cool. It sounds like Dragon's Den for Lady Entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it will be. And
So
also,
great.
if you do not want to be a part of the competition and you want to share your story on the Lady Entrepreneur platform, just like Billie-Jane today, reach out to me at all of those handles and we will make it happen. So that's it for today, Billie-Jane. Thank you so much again. Who knows, we
Awesome.
might have to have a part 3.
We need a part 3. No, but honestly, good. You're doing so awesome. And I'm so honored to be here with you. Thank you for the opportunity, but thank you for what you do in bringing information to your lady entrepreneurs. And then to be doing this like Dragon's Den, where you actually helping to get business, this idea, make it a reality. That is amazing. So
Yeah,
kudos to you
I'm
for
pretty
doing that.
excited about taking that on because, as you know,
Yeah.
I've been in like pageants for 17 years, and then coming up to do my own competition. It's not a pageant. It's more of a competition. But
Right.
the pageant lifestyle just lives with it.
Right.
So
Yes.
don't be surprised if a little sparkle pops out.
Woo! We looking forward to it. Yes. Awesome.
All right, you take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too.